Following President el-Sisi directives, Egypt sends 4 military planes with food aid to Gaza. Egypt welcomes Canada and Malta's move to recognize the state of Palestine as a historic step. And Egypt urges the United States to help end war in Gaza and warns of Israeli starvation policy. Good evening and welcome to the Qnews Egypt Bulletin this evening. I'm Mark Summers. Following directives from Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Egypt has dispatched 4 military transport aircraft loaded with tons of food aid to Gaza. The airdrops target areas inaccessible by land, aiming to ease the severe shortages faced by Palestinian residents amid the ongoing crisis. This initiative complements Egypt's continued land-based aid delivery and reflects Cairo's role in coordinating international efforts to support Gaza. Since the crisis began, Egypt has provided around 80% of the total humanitarian assistance entering the Strip, working closely with friendly nations to alleviate suffering. Egypt has welcomed announcements by Canada and Malta of their intention to recognize the state of Palestine, calling the move a historic step toward restoring Palestinian rights. In a statement, Cairo urged all countries yet to recognize Palestine to act swiftly, describing the growing international momentum as a decisive moment to stand on the right side of history. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati has urged the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to help end the war in Gaza and ensure the flow of aid amid what he called a systematic Israeli policy of starvation. In Washington, Abdel Ati called for a ceasefire and political solution based on a 2-state framework. He also called for a political framework to achieve a just resolution to the Palestinian cause, including the establishment of a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Now, Egypt's National Elections Authority has completed all preparations for the 2025 to 2030 Senate elections, ensuring an organized and safe voting environment. According to the authority chairman and vice president of the Court of Cassation, Councillor Hazem Badawi, outlining the administrative and technical steps taken, including the selection and equipping of polling stations, judicial and diplomatic training, and voter database updates in coordination with relevant ministries. Badawi stressed the independence of the electoral process, which is overseen by over 10,600 judges, and confirmed full access for civil society and international monitors. He urged citizens to participate actively, calling their vote a responsibility and a message to the world that Egypt remains stable amid regional turmoil. The 2025 Egyptian according to each country's local time. Participation is considered both a constitutional right and a national duty under Article 87 of the 2014 Constitution. Overseas voters must be registered and hold a valid national ID or passport. Polls will operate from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time at embassies and consulates, with ballots sealed daily. The National Election Authority outlined a full timeline for the elections, with results expected August 12th and final results by September 4th. A fine of up to 500 Egyptian pounds may apply to eligible voters who abstain without a valid excuse. Since October 2023, Egypt has played a crucial humanitarian role, delivering massive aid to Gaza amid the ongoing crisis. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli met with the Minister and Investment and Foreign Trade, Hassan El-Khatib, to discuss efforts to develop the customs clearance system, as well as the outcomes of the Minister's recent visit to Japan. Prime Minister stated that the government is continuing its diligent efforts to remove obstacles and burdens that may hinder trade movement. It also is working to streamline procedures in line with international standards to enhance the smooth flow of goods. Egypt's Health Minister Khalid Abdul Ghaffar has announced a 50% increase in compensation for health care workers injured or killed in the line of duty, following cabinet approval. Under the new plan, death or total disability payouts rise to 150,000 Egyptian pounds, while compensation for partial disability will now range from 30,000 pounds to 120,000 pounds, depending on severity. The Medical Professions Risk Compensation Fund will also expand coverage to include staff from the Healthcare Authority and the Healthcare Accreditation and Regulation Authority. Also, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has urged traders and manufacturers to lower essential goods prices in line with Egypt's improving economy and stronger pound. He emphasized that while economic indicators are positive, prices remain high and must drop accordingly. Chamber of Commerce leaders pledged cooperation with steel and food prices expected to decline. Officials also called for more support to reduce production costs. Minister of Housing Sharif El-Shibini has announced the handover of a new batch of Sakan Mas units in New Cairo's exhibition grounds area, starting today, July 30th, through to Thursday, August 14th. The batch includes buildings from Series number 3, 4 and 5, Phase 1, and Series number 2, later phases. Beneficiaries must first complete contract procedures at the Housing and Development Bank's Nasser City branch, then proceed to the New Cairo Authority to finalize the handover. The City Authority has stressed smooth coordination to address any issues during the process. Egypt has been placed 44th globally and 3rd in the Arab world in the 2024 Kids' Rights Index, which evaluates countries' respect for children's rights across 5 areas, including health, education, and protection. The report highlighted global concerns over youth mental health, with over 14% of adolescents facing issues and suicide being the 3rd leading cause of death among those 15 to 29. Egypt's Ministry of Tourism has raised official tour guide fees starting in October. Full day rates will rise to £1,800 Egyptian pounds for 8 hours and half day rates to £1,100 for 4 hours, up from £1,000 and £600 respectively. Tourism Minister Sharif Fathi said the increase supports fair labour practices and reflects the crucial role of guides in enhancing Egypt's global image. The decision, coordinated with the tour guide syndicate and tourism companies, will be mandatory for all operators, with penalties for non-compliance. Marking the 69th anniversary of the Suez Canal's nationalisation, Suez Canal Authority Chairman has inaugurated new infrastructure projects, including a water station in Ismailia, floating bridges and marine units. He also presented updates on canal operations and outlined the authority's future strategy amid growing instability in the Red Sea caused by Houthi attacks on Israeli-linked shipping. Due to ongoing tensions, the Suez Canal's revenues plunged by 61% in 2024, falling to almost $4 billion, down from $10.25 billion in 2023. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi recently stated that Egypt is losing around $800 million monthly from canal earnings. Egypt's Suez Canal Economic Zone has posted $234 million in revenue from 2024 to 2025, a 38% increase year on year, despite disruptions to the Suez Canal. The chairman, Walid Gamal el-Din, told Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli the authority also recorded an 8.49 billion Egyptian pounds surplus. The growth comes amid a sharp 54.1% drop in Suez Canal revenues to $2.6 billion due to Red Sea instability and fewer ship transits. Egypt has signed an agreement with energy majors Eni and BP to begin natural gas exploration in the Mediterranean Sea. The Petroleum Ministry announced the deal also includes plans to drill an exploration well in the Lake Timsa area in the coming months. The site lies within a geological basin that stretches from the Mediterranean to the Gulf of Suez via the Bitter Lakes. The Central Bank of Egypt Governor Hassan Abdullah has met with Nigerian counterpart Olayemi Cardoso in Cairo to explore expanding bilateral cooperation in banking and financial services. Talks covered banking regulations, fintech, cybersecurity, data analytics, and capacity building via the Egyptian banking institution. Abdullah also gave Cardoso a tour of Egypt's banknote printing facility in the new administrative capital, which Cardoso praised for its advanced security standards. The visit builds on Abdullah's trip to Nigeria in June during the Frexim Bank meetings in Abuja. And just before we go, just time to recap the main Egypt headlines this evening. Following the president's directives, Egypt sends 4 military planes with food aid to Gaza. Egypt welcomes Canada and Malta's move to recognize the State of Palestine as a historic step. And Egypt urges US to help end Gaza war and warns of Israeli starvation policy. And that's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Q News for the latest developments.